in case, and we'll release it later. All right. Jim, AJ, welcome. What's new? It's been a little while.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah.
We're
Feeling
above
refreshed?
0, so we thought we could go live again.
Okay. I'm not seeing us on the page. Did you guys get a notification on that?
Just now.
Hey, look, there we are. Woohoo!
Slow, just like us.
We're having trouble playing the video. No.
Yeah, I was about to quote that commercial and say, "Scoop, there it is," but
Please don't do that. All right. Facebook will probably post down at some point in time, right? We're going to talk guns. I have a horrible
Bring it.
flag, right? What's new? It's been, what, a month and a half, 2 months since we've been live. A lot of that was kind of trying to figure out what we wanted to do going forward, right? How did we want to approach this after a lot of Facebook skullduggery? Trying to not curse.
One might even say fuckery.
Okay, see, that's what the exact word I was thinking. It was fuckery.
There's a lot of Facebook fuckery at play.
Which is
I don't think they're censoring people for calling them out, so I think we're safe. You know? We just got to stay away from the G word or something. I don't know.
Right, yeah. You can't say gun and then you're good. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know what their goal is. I agree. It doesn't seem to be anything very specific. Like,
well, we as a group have talked about this many times since our last show for obvious reasons, and the most recent crackdown, if you will. I believe you guys believe it's all very automated with, I imagine, some sort of human interdiction for appeals or something. But yeah, I mean, it's terrible. I mean, I've seen hunting groups get shut down. I've seen other gun groups get shut down. One of them I'm perfectly okay with. If any of you know, then you know.
We saw increased auto moderation of the Twin Cities concealed carry group.
Oh, for sure.
Are we still on 100% post approval?
No.
Okay. So
in fact, as a group, I don't think we were. Okay. When those things flag, you kind of get to pick your actions, and one of them is making that person require post approval. I don't think we ever got to the point where it was the whole group required post approval, or did we do that? I don't remember.
I thought we went.
I thought we had turned that on manually.
You know what? We did turn that on because I approved one today.
Nice.
Excuse me. I don't
be on the ball. All right. Look, 100% post approval sucks. It kills the conversation. It kills the free flow of information, which I'm a little conspiratorial. I think is the ultimate goal of all of this, is to kill the communication between not just those that may be labeled conservative or constitutionalist or libertarian. What are we doing here?
I was trying to see. It's pretty good. They've upgraded the tinfoil hat. It looks pretty normal now.
Oh, it's lined inside of it. I got too many comments on it. So.
Nice.
But I think they want to kill the whole conversation, right? They want. I do believe they want to kill the whole conversation, the whole exchange of information and ideas. That's how they control the narrative. I don't think that's some big, I think quite a few people agree. I don't think it's a liberal, or I don't think it's a bend for the conservatives or liberals or this or that. It's just about control.
I mean, barring any conspiracy theory, whether that's true or not, it's actually kind of what's happening. So, regardless,
yeah, they don't.
We got to watch our P's and Q's for a little while, and there was a round of this. What was it? A year or two ago?
Yep.
Had to be more than a year ago because there wasn't a lot through quarantine as far as censorship, but it was before then that it got kind of hot for a little while, and then it teetered off, and now it's come back with a vengeance. That's for sure. I mean, they're scrubbing posts that have been up for years in some groups.
Yeah.
I mean,
I had one pulled down that was almost a year and a half old.
I have seen posts of people that got flagged from 5 years back. Not in our group, but
Yeah.
in general, I've seen it.
I've seen people. There's definitely been more 30-day bans going around. More.
Oh yeah.
Just for it does all seem to be auto mod. I don't understand the overall.
Well, I'm sure that one that I had was because then I appealed and they said, "Oh no, it's fine." But then I thought, well, I'll try to just delete it anyway. And I literally couldn't scroll back that far in the history of the group to get to it, delete it without my browser blowing up.
That's
Wow.
a computer issue.
That dial-up internet might have something to do with it.
Oh, I'm sure it doesn't help.
I don't know. We looked at alternative social media platforms. Turns out they're not any better from a user interface, from a user base. Facebook is what we have. Facebook is what works. Facebook's what most people are on.
I consider myself a fairly decisive person. Obviously there's things in life that I hem and haw about, and through this process, there are a few things that I felt more torn about in what direction to go with this, whether it's forums or apps or other social media platforms, there's so many options and none of them ring as like the golden ticket.
Well, no, they're all crappy versions of a crappy service.
I mean, they're all just mediocre at best. There isn't any other platform that just screams, do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. So it sucks. Okay. So whatever. Everybody knows Facebook sucks. Everybody knows Facebook is.
I love being on Facebook saying Facebook sucks. It's great. The duplicity of it.
They're okay with that as long as we don't hold a gun. We're I guess I can kind of understand the live stream thing. They don't want guns on live streams, and I do actually understand that because you have guys like the Christchurch in New Zealand where he live streamed the whole freaking shooting of the mosque. Excuse me, not Christchurch, but I forget what it was called exactly. So I can understand the auto mod on live streams. I do get that. You have how many hundreds of thousands of people live streaming at any given point in time. I wouldn't want that crap broadcast over either.
I wonder, and being from Minnesota, one of the, we've had some of the largest publicly known cop related shootings.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest ones that were live was Philando, right? A couple of years ago. I wonder how that plays into this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. That was Facebook Live.
Yeah, and there was another guy just last year in Richfield that went after a cop with a knife, and he was on Facebook Live as well, and he got shot as well. And I mean, obviously these are very local, but Philando was huge. That was a real thing. And then obviously, George Floyd, right? That wasn't a live situation, but some of these scenarios really, really take place. And I wonder how much of that comes into play when it comes to these live things.
Yeah. So like I said, the live, I do understand not wanting guns on the live stream. I hate to agree with Facebook. I'm sure somebody's out there right now calling me a bootlicker, but I get that one.
I agree with Facebook, and you know how much that irks me.
All right. So we can keep talking crap about Facebook, but nobody really wants to hear that. Right? We all are saying it. Side note, I was reading an article on Ars Technica. Facebook is going to be releasing a Facebook Watch. Try to take a market out of the Apple Watch and Samsung Watch. You had the exact same reaction I did, which is nobody's going to fucking buy that.
There's fuckery at play.
Nobody wants a Facebook watch.
Especially if I can't have guns on it.
All right, let's actually talk guns because that's kind of our thing. That's what we told people we'd be talking about. Utah won constitutional carry.
Hell yeah, good for them. I mean, I have a little pain in my heart being a gun training company. I feel other gun training companies' pain right now in the state of Utah. But as a society, I'm all on board. Now they had unloaded open carry that you could do without a permit before. Unloaded meaning not one in the chamber. So, I mean, a lot of people took advantage of that already.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I mean.
So we should probably clarify what constitutional carry is, which it is being able to carry a firearm without any permit process requirement, any training requirement, as many people would say. The Second Amendment is written and is intended. So there are now 17 states that recognize constitutional carry or some form of it, right? So a few of them, they have constitutional carry for their people that reside in their state only. If you do, you reside in a different state, it may not apply to you. But Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Idaho, Kansas, Kentucky, Maine, Mississippi, Missouri, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Utah, Vermont, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Although I think South Dakota, that one's still up in court. I think they had a setback at a court level, something to do with their constitution. But,
well, I have a buddy who lives in Idaho, and to look at this from a class standpoint, a teaching standpoint, like ours is, he said, it really doesn't affect permits because people still get permits for reciprocity with other states until constitutional carry becomes generally nationwide.
Yeah,
I don't think the permit process gets affected all that much just because people then still want to carry in other states.
Yeah, so you're talking national reciprocity.
Yeah, and with Utah, at least until the ability to get a Utah permit came so difficult in the last couple of years, it was such a popular permit. I could still see lots and lots of people getting the Utah permit for the reciprocity it creates in other states.
Mm-hmm. I think Indiana was looking at potentially moving towards constitutional carry as well. There was a bill here in Minnesota. What was that, 2019 maybe, that they put it in?
Yeah, it seems like every few years one pops up.
Yeah.
I think that last round, though, got deeper than any other had in years past.
Yeah, there's been a couple constitutional bills.
Yeah, I remember the three of us talking to some length about it, about how it would affect us internally, and obviously as gun-carrying citizens.
Would it? Yeah, mixed emotions, right? Like,
yeah, very.
Definitely like the extra money that I make. I definitely like the idea of people getting training. I still think people are gonna get training. I don't like the idea of mandating training. I don't like the idea of saying you have to have a permit. I will say that this job has tested my convictions on the Second Amendment at times.
More specifically, the right for everyone to bear arms.
You meet some people and you're like, wow,
maybe not a good choice for this
you're
guy.
dumb. You shouldn't carry guns. But hey, you know what? A human right's a human right. I can't, I cannot enforce my will upon other people. At least I shouldn't. You just hope that they maybe get additional training. What is it? I say maybe 50% of the people that run through the class are actually going to carry at some point in time. Maybe 30% of them are going to actually re-up their permit in 5 years.
Yeah, I wish there was a more tangible number. Short of surveying all of our past students, there's no way to know how many go through the process, to full completion. Because obviously all we see is, the ones that complete the course, and there's no way of knowing who continues after that. I mean, yeah, it's intangible. I can tell you the percentage of people who sign up and don't even complete the course. And I imagine that is a lower percentage than people who finish the course and never apply.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but we got to be in the 300,000 citizens in the state of Minnesota now that have a permit to carry.
I would have said 350. So yeah,
sure.
We're in the same ballpark.
I mean, God, there's got to be easily 1 million people that have taken the course. Easily. Just based on my speculative opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
could you imagine if 1 million people in the state of Minnesota had their permit to carry? How much that would change things for us?
I mean, we're definitely on the larger side, but I mean, in 5 years, we've put through 10,000 students. If there's 500 companies like us, the math is pretty simple. That's 500,000 in the last 5 years, but that would be a generous number because, like I say, I think we're definitely well above average. So calling us the average is going to skew the numbers.
Well, and you're the math guy here. So 10,000 students completed. There's about a 25% non-completion rate currently. Mm-hmm. So, I mean.
Wow. All right. So, interesting.
A million permit to carry card carrying members in the state of Minnesota would drastically change things. Imagine that everyone who took the course had a permit to carry.
You know what? I don't even think it needs to be 1 million. I think
I'm just going with a good round number. You know what I mean? Like suddenly you're at 20% of the population in the state.
Okay, never mind. I was going to say, I just want a high percentage in the metro areas, but I mean, the population.
Before somebody gets on and corrects me, I did the math wrong. If you were to extrapolate based on us, it would be 5 million people in the state in the last 5 years. So the numbers clearly don't work with us representing average. We are so far above average. We just can't do that.
Yes, we'll go with that.
Current population of the state of Minnesota is 5.64 million. We got 5 million people on board. That's a win.
Yeah, that's clearly not the case.
There's more. You know what? There's more today than there was this time last year. So
hey, I mean, every year that number keeps creeping up. I mean, again, it's intangible, but I'm proud to be one of the people that helps that number grow.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I love sharing my passion of firearms. I love helping people to take some personal responsibility for themselves. And again, I don't really care about your belief structure, your reasons. I just want you to help support what I think is very important for me.
Yeah, we all got our different reasons as to what's important and what makes us feel best about why we're doing it. Some people are in it for the money. Some people are in it for the teaching aspect. Some people are just out to help people grow and try new things. And I mean, one of my favorites is the kid stuff, the DNR stuff. I don't particularly enjoy teaching that class, but at the end of that class, when everything comes to fruition and those kids get to do their shooting test and they get to go hunting, that part of it for me it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, and while I'm not a hunter and neither is my daughter, I mean, I certainly get a huge kick out of taking her to the range when we get a chance to go shooting together.
Yeah.
That's a big win in my life.
So for me, I had a one-on-one last night. Was that Tuesday night? That was last night.
Yes, Shane, you did.
I had a one-on-one last night, and she was nervous, never shot a gun. I enjoy those one-on-ones where we start in the beginning, and they have no clue what to expect. They're super nervous, they're worried, and by the end of it, they're having fun, they're enjoying it. It's they don't understand why they were so scared of it. They don't understand what they were worried about, and they leave incredibly happy. They've learned some valuable skills. Hopefully they're going to continue training, but that's what I love of it. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of whether it's a one-on-one or just a test, but when you can take that person from scared to having fun in the course of their time with you, that's a great experience.
Mm-hmm. I had an awesome woman last night that she came in, and I'm not joking, she was one of the most nervous people I've seen in a long time, right? Almost hyperventilating. And, it wasn't a one-on-one. We didn't have an hour. We had about 10 minutes. And in that span of 10 minutes, she went from incredibly nervous to more than confident, more than willing to continue shooting. She was talking to the range about renting a gun while I was moving on to the next student after that. Like, I don't know. It's an enjoyable. I can't explain it. It's kind of an intangible. I don't know. I love it. I love opening people's eyes to the fact that, hey, you know what? They're not scary. They're not going to just go off randomly. They're not going to hurt you. Aside from being a great equalizer, right? Puts people on the same plane. It equalizes force. It's a hell of a lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun. All right. Do we want to kill the mood and talk about prospective gun control?
We're here.
All right. Hang on a second. I'm gonna show you what I have here. I stole this from Reddit, but thought it worked well. HR 127. So what is HR 127? It's worse than what you think. So this is proposed legislation right now for gun control. So under HR 127, every gun owner would have 3 months from the time that it could potentially be signed into law to report all guns owned, make, model, serial number. We're talking everything, right? Your 22 pistol, your 22 rifle, your 30-06 hunting rifle, your AR-15s, anything. You have to tell the government where you keep your guns. All of this is going into a database, which is then publicly available. Gets worse. You would need a license. You'd have to get a license. You'd have to apply for it. 21 years of age. Pass a background check. Guess what? You already have to do this for your permit to carry.
You have to do it to buy a gun.
Yeah, correct. You'd have to pass a psych evaluation, pay for 24 hours of training, which is my biggest complaint about any gun legislation, is that it is absolutely aimed. I'm blanking on the word, but gun legislation is about the most classist thing you can do. It drives up the cost, and it takes it out of.
It's discriminatory against the poor, is what you're saying.
Exactly. It's gun legislation is gun tax, and 100%. You are too poor to defend yourself. You don't have enough money to be of value. Oh, and you'd have to get that $800 insurance policy from the government every year. Can't get a license if you've ever been diagnosed with depression. So, just random doctor says, hey, you know what? I met you for 20 minutes. You just have depression. You're out. You're done. No rights restoration. any brain disease. If the evaluators think you have an alcohol problem, oh, they get to totally talk to your ex-wives, your ex-girlfriends, ex-boyfriends, ex-husbands, because, you know, they're going to be completely altruistic and tell the truth, right? Exes never lie about their exes. Separate permit for military-style weapons, maximum of 10-round magazine. Antique guns still need to prove ownership, meet all of the requirements. So your curios and relics, your old school cap and ball pistol, yep, $800 license. You have to go through the evaluation, all that. You won't be able to openly display them in your own home. You will now have a requirement to lock your firearms up in your own home at all times. Minimum fine, $50,000.
$50,000.
50,000. 10 to 15 years minimum in jail. It is the most aggressive bill for gun legislation ever introduced. It is, in effect, more restrictive than what Canada has. Canada's got some different stuff with types of guns, but more restrictive than what Canada has. And then just recently, Biden has called on Congress to enact common sense gun reform. And then there's been talk about him potentially legislating through executive order on things like redefining what a gun is for the ATF and potentially executive orders that would change the NICS check system. So an executive order banning guns would likely not carry constitutional weight. Yet here we are still without bump stocks. But he can do things to change how the ATF handles background checks. He could potentially slow them down. He could have them reevaluate what constitutes a firearm, although that one would come under intense legal scrutiny as well, because there is a well-defined regulation on what constitutes a firearm, what constitutes a machine gun, things like that. So, you guys got your $800 ready and got your psych eval form filled out?
I actually don't own any more guns.
One of the things that concerns me, I mean, not just how nasty this bill is, but it's already been declared that their intention is not to submit any of these things as standalones. They're going to tack them on as addendums to other things that they think are likely to pass in the first place.
Omnibus bills.
The debate on these subjects doesn't occur at all anyway.
Yeah, omnibus bills. Yet another failing of our government. Yeah, it's gonna be a weird one. They don't think it's gonna go anywhere anytime soon. There's been a lot of talk about have they overplayed their hand, right? They've missed the narrative. I don't want to get like I'll give it. Go ahead.
Here's what gets me the most right now, at least. And I think everyone can agree with this on both sides. The election year takes a lot out of people, me being one of them. At the end of the election, after the inauguration, I look forward to what can loosely be described as the dead period, right? Like, we need a little recoup time. And Mr. Biden, my friend, has gone full force.
Yeah.
There's no pause. Give me a second.
Yeah, I'm still not I'm still not at a point where I'm ready to jump back into it and start paying attention.
Oh, it's just so exhausting. And maybe that's what they want. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I had hoped between the second impeachment and COVID, they would maybe be distracted for a while, but that didn't work out.
Turns out not so much.
No, no. Unfortunately, they apparently can multitask.
I do think they've overplayed their hand. I do think that their base, which whatever, I'm not part of their base. Um, I think their base went out and bought guns in record numbers in 2020 and are still buying guns in record numbers in 2021. It's easier to get guns now than it is to get ammo, which is stupid.
I think we're still dealing with an overwhelming amount of ignorance, though. You know, people will make fun in our pro-gun groups that we tend to spend some time in about, you know, the anti-gun people talking about clipazines and ghost clips, you know, and we make fun of how they don't know guns. It's like, who cares? They're still spending their time making sure you can't have any. But I also think a large portion of those new, more left-leaning gun owners don't understand that they maybe need to start assessing their candidates differently now because their priorities have changed, but they're still voting for people who have the old priorities and not the new ones.
Right? They don't.
I don't know if there's going to be just a lag for people to catch up, or if that's the problem that's going to persist. But I think that's a big part of the problem right now.
So I think a lot of those people are not one issue voters, right? I'm mostly a one issue voter, right? And it's firearms. And I'm not saying that they should be a one issue voter. They don't have candidates that are going to support gun rights because it's been viewed as political suicide on that side of the aisle, and that's what needs to change. You need.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't that long ago that you could be on either side of the aisle and be pro-gun, and now if you're on the left, you have to be anti-gun to get the support of your party so that you can get reelected.
Yeah, it is political suicide, period, and that's a shame because, man, I don't want to. Give me a
Well,
good.
and it's easy to look at it from the other side as well. I mean, I'm not saying whether Trump should have been impeached, whether he should have been convicted, but look at the publicity that was thrown on the 7 Republicans who voted guilty in the impeachment trial. Why do we have to single them out? They did what they thought was right. Why do we have to single out that was different than what their party said they were supposed to do? Aren't we electing them to do what they think is individually right?
Yeah.
And now we're holding that against them.
Correct, but that's because that's what plays in the media, right?
That's why I think the 2-party system is broken, and that and the career politician are the things that couple of the things that have to go. The job of the politician is supposed to be to look out for the good of the people, and now it's to get reelected, and to get reelected you have to look out for the interest of the party.
Yeah, I mean, give me a good candidate that's pro-gun. I really probably don't care what side of the aisle they come down on because there's not that much difference. There is not that much difference. If you can give me somebody who's going to stand up, I mean, because let's be honest, Trump wasn't going to stand up for 2A rights. He proved that. None of them will. Well, through the balance of 2020, we saw time and time again in which police, I'm not blaming the police, did not and would not come into an area. I get it. I understand. I'm not upset about that. People, carjackings right now in Minneapolis are up, what, 500%? Now we're going to take it.
Yeah, it is. I think it's high force. Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to take away your only option, viable, reliable option to defend yourself. Don't give me this.
I mean, if you look at what a police officer implicitly is doing every morning when they strap on the badge and gun, is they're going out there and saying the same level of protection that you as a parent would offer your children, I'm going to offer to total strangers. I mean, that's pretty freaking noble and admirable. But then every time they come close to crossing a line, we're all over them, and they just feel totally estranged and left out. I mean, why
we give them the power to do so? We ask them to do so. We pay them to do so, and then we crucify them when they do.
Yeah, you can't have it both ways.
And so rightfully so, they said, you know what? You're on your own. Now we're gonna take away the only equalizing force, right? Don't tell me to use mace. Don't give me this stun gun bullshit, right? You can't mace somebody when you're sitting in a car when they're trying to carjack you. Because you're gonna end up with mace in your eyes. You're not gonna be able to stun them. Tasers are at best not reliable. Right.
Well, especially in Minnesota in winter, you're going to get those probes through 7 layers of clothing. I mean, unless you hit them in the face, forget about it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the lawsuit? If you tase somebody and hit them in the face, oh, you're gonna lose all your money in court.
And that's assuming you just straight up don't get your ass kicked. The taser isn't go forever.
No.
It fires off for like 5 seconds. You have to pull the trigger again to keep it going. By then, someone's back on their feet. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason when a person gets tased, they put them in handcuffs right away. The average citizen doesn't have handcuffs with them. You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna do when one of those wires breaks? That happens. Wires breaks, you miss a probe. Now you shot this thing off, gave away your one shot. You're done.
Yeah.
You're done.
No, you're done.
Yeah.
And
and you escalated the situation now.
Yeah, right. There's so much.
Shane and I were both laughing this weekend as we were talking, on the way to and from class and stuff like that about people in class who've talked about drawing a gun to de-escalate the situation. How you sit there and look at it for a second, okay, think about what you just said. Oh, okay.
This is not the movies, people.
Right? It is not the movies.
Let me be clear, that's a huge mistake. Do not do that.
That's not how it works.
Yep. Yeah, no.
Let me just go ahead and stop you right there.
It's just, I don't get it. Like, all gun control is ultimately breaks down to support people taxation. The catchy term. I agree with it. Not just armed minorities, armed people are harder to oppress, right? I absolutely agree with that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's anecdotal, but there's a lot of evidence to support that.
Yeah, damn right. It's like, take a step further. Yeah, gun control definitely has been racist in America. And now we're going to push it again, now that far more minorities are arming themselves, as they freaking should. But no, now we need another gun push, right? We've seen, something we're fond of saying is the Second Amendment protects the First Amendment, right? Without the second, take the second, then they're gonna take the first. Well, they actually beat us. They took the fourth from us. So to take the fourth, you're gonna get the second, but not having the fourth. You lose the first, and every other one of them falls down. But it's goddamn depressing. It's beyond
Nothing short.
Well, I don't necessarily believe that this is the intent at the level of the politician. I think at the level of the politician, there's more of a control. But I think if you look at the level of the organization that is against guns, we all have at the basic level the same goal, and that is a safer society. We just think there's a different way that it needs to, from a reality standpoint, be accomplished. And you look at so many of the tactics that are being proposed, and they remind me of, the war on drugs from when I was a kid. And geez, let's be honest, I think we need to declare drugs the winner of that war. So clearly those tactics don't work.
Well, it was never a war, though. I mean, we had the CIA freaking helping them out the whole goddamn time, right? Like, it was sold as a war on drugs, but it was anything but an actual war on drugs. Again, it was a war on black people in the inner city. It was a war on poor people. Like, that's what it was. Like, it was, I'm gonna start going into areas I don't need to go into. I don't know.
We're gonna get this live banned yet.
Yeah, we're going to be banned before we even sign off.
I'm going to be kicked out of the group is what's going to happen.
Well, but that was coming anyway.
Be the first instructor banned from our own group.
Yeah, AJ and I have been talking. Now you're out. You just didn't know it. We're gonna tell you after we got off the class.
Only going to get worse. So my elected representative that I email frequently is Representative Rick Hansen. He is a Democrat. He covers Lilydale, Mendota Heights, South St. Paul, West St. Paul. Right, local guy. That's the guy that I should be bugging. Pretty sure I'm on a watch list because of the email they send him for my opinion of the gun legislation that he continues to support. Everybody needs to be emailing, calling, bugging, annoying their representatives.
Yeah, I mean, keep it polite, keep it professional.
Oh God, yeah.
But keep on it.
Yeah. Polite, professional. Do not swear. Do not curse. Do not call them names. It doesn't do you or anybody else any good, and it probably gets filtered out automatically. Might make you feel good, but it can definitely feel like hitting your head against a brick wall, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I get the same type, the same format email back every time on, common sense gun control, which is dumb and bullshit.
Yeah, and they don't even get the idea of every time there's a shooting, if you look at it and evaluate it, even the Buffalo shooting that just was that last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The guy shouldn't have had guns.
So I didn't follow that.
The system was in place that should have denied him the guns, yet he had them. We don't need more laws. We need enforcement of the ones that are already there. If 20,000 gun laws didn't get the job done, 20,001 is, please.
But Jim, you don't understand. I have the perfect gun law. It's going to fix everything. And then I can tell my base, I went out there and I did a good thing. I protected your kids today. All politicians are trash.
I think if you were just talking about your representative a little bit ago, and you said be polite, be professional, and that reminded me of a quote from General Mad Dog Mattis. And I think if there were words to live by, this is the time. It goes something to the effect of be polite, be professional, but always have a plan to kill everybody you meet.
I don't know that it was actually him, but another one that I like that has been attributed to him was the one about always carry a knife in case you need to rip somebody's throat out or if there's cheesecake.
Nice.
Hopefully more cheesecake. Let's see. He's got a ton of good quotes.
Oh, yeah. In fact, there's some.
My favorite
There's
one.
some pretty bad ones as a
in all honesty, that was my first sign that the Trump presidency was not going to go as well as I'd hoped, was when he dumped Mattis. And I'm like,
Mattis left. Yeah, that was
the best guy you could have possibly hired for that job, and now he's gone.
Couldn't agree more.
So are my hopes for this presidency.
I just pulled up some of his quotes. They are amazing.
I come in peace. I didn't bring artillery, but I'm pleading with you with tears in my eyes. If you fuck with me, I will kill you all. Like, badass quote.
And he was a decent and honorable man too. He talked about torture, and he said torture. He said, I can get more out of a prisoner with a ham sandwich than you can all day with torture. So he was definitely, that maintain the moral high ground kind of guy too, on top of being.
I'm going to counter that one with number 2 here. Number 2. This is a good one. Maybe we should just do a show on his quotes. There are just some assholes in the world that just need to be shot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's sort of the idea behind capital punishment.
I mean, the problem is we don't agree on which assholes need to be shot.
Yeah, I mean, you can make.
We
an
don't agree on
argument-
who gets to make the decision because I
Right, right.
feel.
I mean, I remember when the quarantine first hit and the roads got lighter, and the pollution went down, the dolphins came back in Venice. It's like, maybe Thanos was right. I just want to be in charge of which half goes. That's that old phrase, it takes all kinds. No, it don't take all kinds. We just got all kinds. There are some kinds we could maybe do without. There are some that are good for only being used as a bad example.
You know what? I'm gonna print some of these off and start hanging them up in my house.
I really like the one.
That's great.
Be polite, be professional, but have a plan to kill everybody you meet. Because
that's one of my favorite ones out of his mouth.
It's kind of that what if, like that we talk about in training, right? You need
Hope for the best, but plan for the worst, right? I mean,
yeah, it's not word for word what we teach, but it's the right concept.
I don't know. We should start slipping these into what we
into the PowerPoint.
Yeah, there are hunters and there are victims. By your discipline, you will decide if you are a hunter or a victim. Like there.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys do, but I will sometimes use the sheepdog wolf analogy that we are sheepdogs. So he's just classifying hunters and as the sheepdog.
And admittedly, he's a little more brash because most of these quotes are him talking to a group of 200 Marines. It's
right. Yeah, these are not
different scenario, but
this isn't him providing a speech to reporters. It's meant for war.
Right.
It's not. Yeah.
Although there's some crossover there. I mean.
Well,
there are some assholes in this world that just need to be shot.
Yes.
Yeah, the problem is so often they're the ones doing the shooting.
Unfortunately.
Well, the problem is even when everybody agrees, there's usually a politician who's, well, we can't be doing that now. So, yeah. That was a high point for the Trump presidency for me. Was when he was announced as the Secretary of Defense, or SecDef. I thought that was.
I mean, that was the definitely the peak of my optimism about that.
Yeah, that was up there.
Mm-hmm.
That particular regime.
Yeah.
I do have to say, I did see a tweet today that kind of made my day that crosses over into the gun world a little bit. So it was referring to Texas and how they've gotten so cold and everybody's struggling. And somebody made a comment about somewhere in Texas, there's a prepper with 37 machine guns that can't leave the house because he doesn't have a shovel.
Well, I was just talking to Joel today. He's down in North Texas, and I mean they've been down at 0, and I mean that's a temperature they don't see.
Yeah.
And the gas supply and the electricity to have been off, it's pretty devastating. I mean, I forwarded that video of the freezing rain on 35W outside of Fort Worth. I mean, I've never seen a pickup truck, full-size half-ton pickup truck fly through the air before that wasn't in a movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got family down in Fort Worth, Dallas-Fort Worth area, Jen's parents and then my cousins. And, they're not very far apart. Jen's parents have had heat the whole time. My cousins haven't had power the whole time. It is Armageddon. Jen's dad's been working nonstop because a lot of people aren't able to make it to work. Obviously, they lived their whole lives in Minnesota. It's not out of the ordinary for them. Just the last 5 years that they've been down there, but it's Armageddon.
I mean, the bigger picture is not even the people, which is bad enough in itself, but it's the infrastructure just can't handle it.
Yeah, I mean, they just had 6 inches of snow where Joel is. I think they had 6 or 8 a few days ago. And he said the town of 100+ thousand that he's in owns 5 snowplows.
I'm surprised they have 5 snowplows.
Well, I am, because this isn't. It snows in Texas every year. Mm-hmm. Now, they don't normally get 6 inches. They don't normally get -0, but this is not a new occurrence. So
no, they shut down, right? Look, Minnesotans don't know how to drive when it freaking snows for the first time in the winter season, right?
They don't know how to drive anytime it snows. You got to wait till the snow clears.
They don't know how to drive whether it's snowing or not. But No, it's freaking Armageddon down there. Yeah, you're not wrong. The infrastructure can't handle it.
The other part of it is like,
Yeah, I mean, it snows down there, but normally it melts the next day. So they've never had to have the infrastructure. And just right now, need it, and it isn't there.
Coldest records ever.
this is one of those 5 minutes of preparation would go a long way. You know what I mean? Like, people don't know how to warm their houses without electricity. People don't know how to, I mean,
People don't know how to warm their houses without killing themselves from carbon monoxide.
it makes me wonder, like, how did your ancestors make it this far? Like, how did your family make it this far without being able to improvise, adapt, and overcome? You know what I mean? Like,
Idiocracy. It's idiocracy.
I guess the great toilet paper shortage of 2020 was evidence of idiocracy. Who am I? Just a guy.
You guys ever seen that movie, Idiocracy?
A few times.
Yeah.
Just a few times.
The worst part of that movie is it's totally believable too.
Got electrolyte and shit. All right. I think we've got about 50 minutes in.
Yeah, I think we did pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, you guys want to shit talk on the internet about anything else?
Wisconsin sucks.
Okay, but I mean, yes.
Oh, let me be more clear. Packers suck. Wait, it's been a while since we were up here. I had to.
Did you see the video of Tom Brady chucking the trophy from the boat to the other boat?
Oh man, Tom Brady. Oh, I love the very first comment I saw after seeing that was like, "Big deal. It's pretty much his anyway." So.
Well, have you seen the butthurt that came from the woman whose grandpa died?
He actually.
I need an apology. No, you don't need anything. Move on. This is your grandfather's accomplishment, not yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, Jim, she lost sleep over it. Her feelings are important.
How old was this woman? Does anybody know?
No.
So I'd hate to say it for the fourth time this week, but I will if it applies. My fucking generation is fucking embarrassing. But the silver lining is the generation after me is even worse. So
yeah, but the generation before, well, the baby boomers screwed it all up. Baby boomers rewrote all the rules, made sure they have fat retirement accounts, screwed it for everybody else. Jim, I have no clue what generation you're in. I feel like you're part of the greatest generation. Gen X? Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm the tail end of Gen X.
And we're
too much younger than I am and you're Y. So I think the line is somewhere between my birth date and you guys, because you're Y, right?
No, we're millennial, the very, very beginning of the millennial generation.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like we're OG millennials, Jim.
It's unfortunate, honestly, because I actually see that as a fucking curse word, honestly, at this point. Like,
which is weird because millennials are 30 years old and have houses and kids and mortgages and whatnot. Like, it's not, millennials are still tagged as like 20 somethings, but that's moved, or teenagers. Let's move on. We're into the.
Oh, you really want to piss us Gen Z off? Call them a millennial.
Exactly.
Okay, Gen Y and millennials are the same group.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking. I didn't say it, but I thought it was the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you guys are Gen Y, but it's also known as the millennials. Yeah. Gen X is 65 to 79, 80.
Yeah.
I'm actually more toward the beginning of it, and then Y or millennials is 81 to 95.
Okay.
Yeah, the millennial generation is currently between 25 and 40 years old.
Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah, we're a bunch of morons.
There's 72 million of you and only 65 million of me.
How many boomers are left?
Well, all right. This has really gone hard, right?
Oh, whatever. All right, let's call it. What? Back in 2 weeks or in a week and a half? 2 weeks.
Yep.
Cool. All right, guys. Have a good night. It was fun. See everybody in 2 weeks. Maybe I can